Hello, my seductioneers. It's your favorite dating coach, the Seduxe. I'm here and I'm ready to give you some valuable information on communication. I had a resounding response to my question today, which is more troubling in your dating life, communication skills or time management, and communication absolutely one. So for tonight, we are going to go from chaos to clarity with two really important topics when it comes to communication. One is texting versus talking, and number two, which is interrupting. These are the two most unhealthy habits I could think of to address immediately because they are pervasive everywhere in communication, but especially in dating. And if you guys like communication as a topic, let me know and I can do further things. Ask me some questions. Let me know what sort of communication issues you're struggling with in your dating life so that I can be sure to answer them for you. So you can do that direct message, comments, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and dive into the first topic, texting versus talking. This is a big problem in dating, especially when you are just starting to get to know someone and you're meeting on dating apps and you're trying to go from online to in real life. So why does this matter? Well, it's really easy to misunderstand each other, right? You might be funny, you might have a very clever sense of humor, but it doesn't always translate very well in text. So you can say something that you think is super funny, and then the other person on the receiving end of that goes, that's a really weird thing for this person to say. I feel uncomfortable now. I no longer want to continue this conversation. Versus if you had gotten on the phone and been clever, you may have made them laugh and in fact made them like you more simply because you have a great sense of humor that doesn't translate well over in text. It's also really easy to misunderstand each other in the other way where you really like each other. I've heard of people and I've had clients come to me say, oh, I had this amazing text conversation with this person and we hit it off. We had so much chemistry and it was so fun and they were so funny. And then when we met in real life, I was so disappointed. The person that showed up was not my fantasy that I had been experiencing going back and forth in text. That's actually, it's a bad thing because you feel like you're building intimacy, but the truth is you're not. It's just words on paper. It's not your personality, it's not building rapport, and it's not getting a sense of the other person. Somewhere else where we go, why does it matter? I'm sorry, why talking versus texting, why texting is such a bad habit, matters is because there's a lot of frustration around the world of texting and dating. That's where you get ghosted. That's where you get breadcrumb. That's where you get booty called. That's where you get teased. That's where you get fizzled. I mean, there are so many terms out there now around dating that happen over text. And that matters because this is why people come to me, because they're frustrated with their dating experience. They are like, oh, I'm out there and I'm talking to people and I'm connecting and it's not going anywhere. You're not talking to people, you're texting people. That's not the same as connecting. That is not dating. That is just texting. So no wonder a lot of you are really frustrated with your dating experiences because you're trying to have relationships over a device. I mean, I know we're in the digital age now, right? But there's still something to be said about connecting in deeper ways, communicating with other human beings. It's going to radically transform your success with another human being. And this isn't just for single people either. You know, there are communication issues between couples as well. But for your sake tonight, I want to talk about texting in the beginning of the relationship as you get to know each other as you're out there dating. So where do we go wrong? First and foremost, absolutely, is assuming that that person will understand what you have to say. So again, you think you might be clever, funny, seeming positive, sharing good things, but the person doesn't actually know your attitude, doesn't actually know who you are, doesn't know how to read you, and so you're expecting them to get you as a human being and build intimacy with them when in fact they don't know that much about you, okay? So it's easy to misinterpret, you know, someone's feelings, someone's intentions. That's where we go wrong with texting and expecting that we're going to be able to build a relationship. The second place where we go wrong is that it's really easy to get turned off in texts. It really is. One misspelled word, one weird emoji, one bad gif, one, you know, sarcastic, funny comment that lands flat, it can immediately turn someone off. And what could have been a really great relationship had you actually connected with each other is already dead in the water before you've even gotten off your device. And yes, as I mentioned before, creating that fantasy relationship, it's so very dangerous. It really is, because it's so nice to think that we've met someone, but it's not really meeting someone. Because at the very heart of where we go wrong in doing texting versus talking is that we're hiding. We're hiding ourselves. We are hiding our vulnerabilities, our personalities, our ability to make someone laugh, our connection skills from someone. Because texting is not communication. I know it can feel like it, but it's actually not real communication that's going to make a difference in your dating success, okay? So how to do it right, if you've been watching me for a while, you know what I'm going to say. And if you're brand new to me, this might be mind-blowing news. Either way, get on the phone. Get on the phone sooner than later, especially if you're trying to go from a dating app to meeting someone in real life. And this is simply because you save yourself a lot of trouble. A lot of people think, oh, I'll just go on a coffee date and that's really simple and we'll feel each other out and we'll go from there. Well, I can tell you I have gone on coffee dates. I've done the coffee dates, and I remember going on a coffee date with a guy where 5 minutes into it, I couldn't wait to get out of there. But I was still stuck having coffee with someone, right? Because I'm not a rude person, I'm a polite person. So I sat through the coffee, and at the end of it, had to jet because this person was just not a fun date. Had I actually gotten on the phone with him, I would have figured that out in 5 minutes on the phone and very politely been able to hang up. My mom's calling, gotta go, not feeling it, whatever exit strategy you want to use, and then been done. And I wouldn't have even had to change out of my sweatpants, right? So getting on the phone is such a great way to level up your dating success simply because you're weeding people out. Relying on text to weed people out or build intimacy is such a mistake. Get on the phone sooner than later. And just be upfront about it. I'm a little old-fashioned. I like to talk on the phone because people start asking questions over text. Like, what are the pros and cons of dating you? What are you looking for? Tell me more about your job. That is it's tedious to text it. You can get on a phone call and have that same simple conversation. So how to do it right when you get on the phone, there are certain aspects and qualities that you are looking for. First and foremost do they have a nice voice? Do they have a nice voice? Are they nice to listen to? Second, how is the rapport going? Are you guys bantering back and forth? Are you asking great questions? Are you keeping the conversation flowing, or does it feel stilted or awkward or like it's falling flat in the water? Or worst of all, are they interrupting you as you're trying to share who you are, and vice versa? So we're going to talk about interrupting as an unhealthy habit next. You want to be able to hear their intention, right? If they sound lazy about dating, if they sound angry about dating, if they sound frustrated, if they sound excited, are they fun and interesting to talk to? And you get to ask questions. You get to ask those get to know you questions that are so tedious when you're meeting in person for the first time and you haven't had this conversation. So where do you live? What do you do for a living? Where are you from? What sort of books do you read? I mean, those are great questions to ask, right? So don't mistake my attitude for saying that they're bad questions, but they're boring. They're boring, and they're really good to get out of the way early on so that when you do finally meet in person, because the conversation went well, then you feel like you know each other. You've already built a little rapport. You've already found out their backstory. And if you're a smart person, when you're on the phone, you ask that person what they like to do for fun. Or is there something that they've been looking forward to checking out around town? Or is there something that they've always wanted to try and needed a partner to go and do it with? And then that becomes the first time you guys meet in real life. That becomes an unforgettable experience, and that helps level up your dating success. Okay, you guys, my goal here is to help you have more fun with your dating life. And yes, ideally find a wonderful person to spend your life with, your time with, your resources, your energy, whatever it is that you're looking for. Okay, so the ways that people are dating now are not serving you. They are not serving you. And you know how I know? Because I get questions every day. I get phone calls every day. I have sessions with my clients where they are frustrated with the current state of dating. And so I take them through the best and smartest strategies so that it becomes fun, right? That's the point of dating, is getting to know people. It's not sitting there on your device looking down and thinking that interacting through a computer is going to get you true love. It's not how it works. Not how it works, okay? So yeah, what else? So yes, if it goes well, you get the date in real life. If it's a maybe, right? Maybe you're on the phone and they're kind of making you laugh and it's maybe a little, stilted here and there, but there's something that you like about the person, you're not quite sure what it is, then go and meet them in real life. Not everybody's great on the phone. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why a lot of you don't want to get on the phone, is because you feel nervous on the phone. You feel like you're going to stutter. You're much better in person. I've heard all of that too. Well, practice getting on the phone, even if it's uncomfortable for you. Why? Because if you end up having a relationship with someone, right, where you're building something with someone, you're gonna have to get on the phone. It's still a reality of life. Get on the phone, ask good questions, get on the phone while you're, apart from each other and still want to keep the conversation and the momentum of intimacy and feelings in the relationship going. You're gonna have to get on the phone, so you might as well do it in the very beginning. And if you're nervous, they're nervous, okay, but everything else feels like there's potential, then you meet in real life. And then you can finalize the feeling each other out and see if you want to keep seeing each other, keep going out. Or, I'm glad I met you. You were definitely still as awkward in real life as you were on the phone, but at least I know for sure. And then if the rapport isn't there, if they don't make you laugh, if they're not curious about you, if they interrupt you while you're trying to share about yourself, that's generally pretty hard no, because if they're doing it on the first phone call, then they're probably going to do it in real life. And people do reveal to us who they are pretty early on, so that might be who they end up being in the entire relationship. Isn't that amazing to think that in one very simple phone call with someone, you can get a feel for how the relationship is going to unfold? Wow. Isn't that going to save you guys a lot of heartache and heartbreak and frustration and bad dates and overall frustrating experiences? Leave me comments, send me direct messages if you agree, if you disagree, if you have your own experiences that you want to share, or if you've had an experience that you had a question about. So Amber, I texted this girl once, I had a phone call over here, it went great, it went terrible. How do I do this right next time? Because as a coach, that is my job, is to get you to the next level. Okay, I know there's a lot of heartache and sad stories around dating, and that's what therapists and counselors are for, and we never ignore that when we're doing coaching together, but we want to look to the future. We want to take responsibility for what we haven't been doing right so that moving forward, we can get better, we can have more fun, and we don't give up, okay? The biggest blight on dating today is that people are just giving up. They're just giving up. And then they blame the external world instead of realizing, like, oh, maybe if I actually did things a little bit differently than I'm currently doing, then I might be getting results that I want to be getting. Feel free to ask your questions. This is your opportunity to be with a dating expert live and on the court to answer something that might be currently vexing you in your dating life, because you know how I know you have a question? Because dating is always vexing. Even if you're in a happy relationship, there are still questions that are valuable to ask from a dating expert, because if you want to have a happy relationship, always be dating your partner. Always, always be dating your partner. Even if you've been together for 20 years, always be dating your partner. Never let the romance go. Never give that up, because that's your person. That's, it's really important that you guys have us time. So you can have dating questions about that stuff too. Okay, you guys, so I'm going to go to the second topic, which is really important, and I'm going to have to turn around my board over here, but it is interrupting. This is one of the unhealthiest habits someone can have in communication, and especially in dating. Especially in dating, and especially in the early stages of dating. All right, so stick with me as I turn this thing around. Okay, she's back. She's back. All right, guys. So let's talk about another super unhealthy habit that we have in dating, and that is interrupting. Interrupting. It is that thing where you step on someone else's conversation and dominate. That means you stop listening to them. That means that you are wanting to hear yourself talk. It means that you demand all of the attention on you. Yikes. And I know sometimes it's really easy to interrupt because we're enthusiastic, because we're nervous, because they're making a really good point and we want to show that we understand or we have something else to contribute to the conversation. And all of that's great, right? Because you want to keep the conversation moving forward. But why it's so bad is because it's rude, it's annoying, it's disrespectful, and it stops the flow of the conversation. Okay, so if you guys want to learn good communication skills, the first thing you have to learn is to stop interrupting, right? So part of the reason why we interrupt people is because we are already thinking about what we want to say, and we don't want to miss the opportunity to spit it out. So we spit it out as quickly as we can and step over the other person. Also, why we interrupt is because we assume we understand what the other person is saying, as opposed to actually trying to understand what the other person is saying. So you assume you know what they're going to say and you finish the sentence for them. Now, if you guys have been having a conversation and you've been in sync all night, it's kind of like this fun mirroring chemistry exercise where you're just like feeling the flow, then by all means play with each other and finish each other's sentences. But if you're getting to know someone, do not assume, and actually never assume, that you know what the other person is saying or going to say, because they will surprise you. And also, it's really annoying, right? And this is what I'm trying to drive home here, is when you're trying to express an idea and then someone assumes they know what you're going to say, and then they say something that's completely incorrect. And then you have to wait for them to finish what they're saying because you're a polite conversationalist. And then you have to correct them and then have to go back to your original point and share what you were actually going to share versus what they assumed you were going to share. And when we interrupt, right, this is a consequence of it. Sometimes you make the other person forget what they were talking about. Right? And especially as you're getting to know somebody, I can't imagine anything more rude than they are expressing themselves and they are trying to get vulnerable and they are trying to create rapport and they are trying to share about themselves, and you're just stepping all over what they have to say, and then they forget. And then now, because they can't remember what they had to say or wanted to say, you get to take over the conversation. Right? It's a turnoff. It's a bad habit. It's a really bad habit. And that was one of the biggest complaints I got from my matchmaking clients, and I saw in matchmaking feedback forums, was that the other person dominated the conversation. They talked about themselves a majority of the time. They didn't ask great questions. And when, this person who's leaving the feedback is trying to share something, the other person interrupts. So they don't even get a chance to talk. Okay, this is how you fall in love with each other, guys, is when somebody gets to share and you listen and you get to know them. Okay, you give them the freedom to be who they are and you get to see it, as opposed to assuming or projecting or doing all those terrible bad habits that we have when we're interrupting. Okay, this is really essential, not just in the early stages, but again, throughout your entire relationship. It's so frustrating when you're trying to tell your partner something and they keep stepping in what you have to say, okay? Let's see. Sometimes your mind is going really fast, and you just have to spit it all out because you're afraid you're not going to make your point. Bad habit. If it's really that important, you will remember it when it's your turn, okay? And if the other person takes the conversation in a different direction, then follow their lead. Or you can bring it back up at a different time. But trying to sit there and make sure that you make your point, there's nothing wrong with making your point, but it's a problem when you're stepping over someone else in order to do it. So how to do it the right way is to let the other person finish, right? How do you let the other person finish? Shut up, right? We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. It's so that we can do twice the listening as the speaking. So when someone's talking, just have the courtesy to listen. And not just listen, but seek to understand. It's really important to hear what the other person's sharing and what they're not sharing. Because we share so much about ourselves through what we say and what we don't say. It also gives you an opportunity when your mind is quiet and you're not talking to pay attention to everything else. How's their body language? How's their interaction? Are they into you? Are they crossing their arms? Are they feeling free and open and good energy, or are they closed and angry and clearly uncomfortable? When you're too busy talking and stepping over what they have to say, you're not paying attention to what's actually going on over in their world. And it can tell you a lot about compatibility, about lack of compatibility, about attitude, a lot of things. Okay, so when you shut up and actually pay attention, you can learn a lot about a person. And also, flow with the conversation. So you may have a point to make, but save it for later. Okay? And last but not least, get curious. So when we're interrupting, it means that we want to talk about us and not about the other person. The best remedy I can tell you for no longer interrupting someone is to really be curious about what they're saying and what they have to say and who they are. Because when you're listening with the attitude of curiosity, it's not that you're like over here like, I really want to talk, but Amber told me to shut up, so I'm just going to sit there and struggle over here with not talking anymore. When you get curious, you become an active listener. You become present in their world. You become empathetic. You become connected. Okay? And those are really sexy. And those are huge turn-ons. It's such a great feeling when you're sitting across from another person and you really feel heard. You feel understood. You feel like they've gotten you. And they have the respect and the grace to let you finish what you have to share. Because I promise you, that is actually a rare quality. Most of us interrupt. And that is why a lot of us are frustrated with dating. Okay, so those were my quick 2 unhealthy habits that you guys have in your communications when it comes to dating. So I'm taking you from chaos to clarity. If these answers were helpful, let me know. Send me a direct message, leave a comment, send me your own questions. I have a couple more people who are joining me from the audience, but this is your opportunity to connect with a dating expert and have some clarity around what is not working for you in your dating life. And if you like this video, if you like the information that I have to share and you want to learn more, then it's time for you to go over to my Patreon account where I have set up a video vault just for you guys with videos, coaching advice, the things that you need to know to get on the court and have a much more successful dating experience. And it's a pretty inexpensive subscription fee compared to what it costs to work with me privately. So it's really for you that video vault exists. So go over there, check it out. There's a lot of great free content too, so I want to make sure I have my bases covered. You have your bases covered when it comes to dating. But the world of dating is wide, and there are a lot of issues and problems and frustrations that you guys are going through, so don't be shy to send them my way, and I will do my best to answer them. It's been a pleasure. For those of you who have been with me until the very end, I love it when you do that. It makes me so very happy. I cannot wait to see you next week. And until then, ciao for now.